Chris, hey, how are you?
Hey, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. We met last night, and I discovered that you live in Cambridge, England.
That's right, I am.
You're Scottish?
I am Scottish. It's one of the things I really try and point out to people. I'm very proud of my Scottish heritage. So as much as I go, hey, I'm from Cambridge, England, but I'm Scottish, and I think you guys must have the same in the States, or actually not you guys in the States. I think Canadians have the same thing where they go, I'm from North America, but I'm Canadian. I'm not American.
Distinguished from us.
Exactly.
Just in case there are some American haters out there.
Exactly, and I think it's the same thing being Scottish is that it's very easy to say you're British, but at the same time, I love living in England, but I got my identity as being
Scottish.
Well,
I like your bro. I'll go on record as saying that. You're actually the second Scottish guy I've had on my show, and the last guy didn't have a bro. He had lost. He had been here so long. Yeah. He had lost it, which disappointed me entirely.
Yeah, well.
So right now we're in Nashville, Tennessee. We're at the Devling Conference.
Yeah.
And this is the second time this year you've come over to North America to speak at a conference.
Yeah.
What's your talk on?
My talk was on Silverlight 3 offline, so it's the new out-of-browser feature in Silverlight.
Okay. And you also do a lot of talks in Great Britain, right?
Yeah.
Now you've had a little chance to experience the North American developer community.
Yeah.
How does that compare to the community in Great Britain?
So there's lots of things that are very much the same and very much different, and that was one of the cool things I realized that both from when I'm presenting, the people in the audience are pretty much at the same level as everybody in the UK.
The same level technically.
Same level technically. So whenever I go and do a Silverlight talk, one of the things I always say is Silverlight talks are one of the hardest talks that you can possibly do because it's a new talk. So people are kind of past the I want to see an introductory talk, so you get 30% of the people in the room have never looked at Silverlight,
Sure.
I know just want to see what's going on. And if you're doing a deep down talk on something, you can guarantee, no matter what level it is, whether it's level 300, 400, you're going to get 30% of the people in the room have never seen Silverlight before, and you're going to be doing a talk on a specific area like kind of Silverlight out of browser. You can then guarantee that the other 30% in the room have looked at Silverlight a little bit, but they don't do it professionally in their day job. And then the other 30% in the room do Silverlight every day, and they expect, you're doing a deep down topic on this, and you better be showing me something new.
And that's challenging. You have 3 different audiences, basically.
Exactly.
3 different expectations.
Exactly. So, and you don't want to cover, even though that presentation is technically for that 30% of that room, mm-hmm. You don't want to exclude, 70% of the people of the audience. You want everybody to come along. So you have to build something that works for everyone. So
works for everyone, but doesn't really penalize anyone.
Exactly, and that's a hard thing to do. The good news is, and that was one of these things when I did Silverlight talks. But I do them in the UK, and the cool thing is, because I always ask at the beginning, how many, that very question, how many people's using Silverlight, and the thing that I found amazing, I've asked that question in Toronto when I did a Silverlight talk there, I asked that question in Nashville, I asked that question in England, and when I did some Silverlight stuff in Ireland, I asked the same question, and I can guarantee you that the numbers are pretty much the same across the board.
Okay.
It does change if you go to a smaller town. Then
and it may change over time as well. As Silverlight becomes more mature, you'll have fewer people that haven't seen it before.
Yeah, it will change over time, and actually, it is changing already. That number is getting higher. The amount of people who are developing Silverlight is getting higher. So maybe a year ago, a year and a half ago, that number would have been 10%, 5% of the people in the room.
So how do you address that? I mean, how do you make sure that the people that are novices are satisfied with your talk, and also the people that are near experts are also satisfied with your talk?
Well, that is a great question, and I actually learned the answer to that question from speaking to Chris Anderson of PDC fame, and he's just like one of the best presenters I've ever met, and I'll give that bit of advice that he gave me, I'll give it back to you guys. And he says, when you're presenting something, make it the simplest presentation that you can possibly make. If it's not necessary, if it's superfluous to your presentation, ditch it. Whatever you're presenting, do it in the smallest lines of code that you possibly can. And when you take that into consideration, your presentation becomes simple. So if I was doing Silverlight offline, out of browser stuff, then I'm focusing on the out of browser stuff. So I don't want, knowing that 30% in the room has never done Silverlight before, do I want in my Silverlight form, in my XAML, do I want to have a demo that's got data binding? Do I want, whoa, no, because it means I've got to explain data binding to people. I've just lost 10, 15 minutes,
right,
trying to explain data binding to people who have never seen it before. So no, what do I need? I need a simple button there. If I'm clicking a button to make an application go offline, I need a button. Everybody understands a button,
Right.
And I don't go into the details of, oh, this is a button here, and this is the text property, and this is this. It's a button. We're all developers. We all know what a button looks like. And now I'm going to focus on that bit of code.
Yeah.
So when you start breaking it down that way, people kind of get it. And it's hard to do. It is really hard to do because we're all competitive. We're all speakers. We all want to show shiny things. We want to see dancing monkeys. We want to see spinning lights and spinning videos. Every demo.
Silverlight. I've seen a lot of those demos.
Exactly. Everybody wants to see a spinning video in Silverlight. But you got to say, you know what? My demo is going to be really dull. You're going to see a box, and then when I click on that, it's going to do what I said it's do. And so you're not going to see your spinning videos of dancing monkeys, but it means that everybody in the room is going to come along.
Yeah, I've had this debate before with other presenters. There's a good friend of mine, really bright guy. He insists that every demo you do should have a unit test associated with it. And I don't do that. I don't have unit tests. I don't have error handling. A lot of things that are best practices, I exclude for just exactly the reason you said, because they distract from what I'm trying to teach. I'm not talking about error handling. I'm not talking about unit testing.
I agree.
Just show that code. And his point is, of course, that now I'm encouraging sloppy programming by eliminating those things. I can mention them to address that. Usually I don't. Usually I focus on what the talk is. But the purpose of my talk isn't really to teach best practices. The purpose of my talk is to show a particular technology.
I think you hit the nail on the head there. It's what is the purpose of your talk. If your talk is on best practices, then talk about unit testing. But if you're trying to say, here's this bit of technology, this is how it works, here's how a Lambda expression works. The first, you're going, okay, Lambda expressions, that's really complicated. Here's a unit test. Well, why don't you show me a unit test? How do we see a unit test?
If you don't talk about it, it's there.
Yeah.
It'll distract people.
It's distracting, and all these people, there's a lot of people who are not comfortable with unit tests. They're not comfortable with test-driven development.
Religious war right in the middle of your talk about that.
Exactly. You would spark a religious war. You get people feeling uncomfortable. They're thinking, I don't do unit tests. I'm a bit worried now. I'm not following best practices.
They probably should be worried, in my opinion. But that's not the point of my talk.
Again, that's another debate. I agree. You should unit test, but let's be honest. Most people don't. So, but you're trying to bring people along. So, if you want to preach unit testing, go to a talk on unit testing.
Exactly.
Do
you think there's any difference between the audiences in the U.S. and the audiences in Britain? Are they pretty much the same in terms of? You said technically they're the same.
Yeah.
Are they the same in terms of personality, or one more enthusiastic, one more laid back? Or
I think there is definitely a cultural difference between the US and the UK, and that's a good thing and a bad thing as well. So we are naturally more cynical in Britain,
more cynical, eh?
Yeah, cynical and sarcastic. That's what we do. So
that's a challenge, folks, for you in the US. Run into Chris, try to be as cynical as possible.
It is, and actually, I think. I think if a US presenter came across the UK, they might find it hard in the sense no, because everybody loves the US presenter enthusiasm things. But the UK audience is different things. We do we're healthy, a bit more cynical, and that's it's a good thing.
Well, when you say cynical, are they more critical of the presenter? You think?
We're less.
I say they, like you're not one of them.
I am one of them. We're less impressed by shiny dancing monkeys and spinning videos.
Okay.
But then but it's just kind of cultural differences. But you know what? I think in general most people are the same. It's kind of okay. I mean, one of the things certainly from an audience and speaker thing. I mean, another thing you guys quite realize is. And that's not just in people in the UK. UK people are brilliant. I've got to word this quite right. People in the UK community are absolutely fantastic. Okay. And best group in the world, and I'm so proud to call so many of those people my friends. But the cool thing is, when I came over here, is that I didn't know anyone when I came to this conference, and everybody has been so nice. The amount of people I've met in 3-4 days has just been incredible, you know. And I would say, you know, these are, you know, people I said, you guys are now my friends, you know.
I totally echo that. Yeah. I'm not from here. I'm from Michigan. This conference is in Tennessee, 4 states away, and so I've met a lot of new people, and every one of them has just been, it's been a pleasure to talk to them. I've learned so much from them. I'll tell you what, really smart people that I've met here, not one of them is like too good to talk to me.
Yeah.
And to say, you know what, you're not smart enough to join this conversation, which sometimes there's that stereotype. I haven't seen it all here.
No, I agree with you 100%. I haven't seen it all. Everybody's been so nice. I mean, I wander down from my hotel, and I don't worry about how I'm going to get to the conference. I just sort of wander down into the lobby.
There'll be a ride there.
And somebody's going, hey, I'm heading off to the, you know, anybody need a ride? And I'll go, I need a ride, and then I meet some new people and come across, and it's been wonderful. Everybody's been just amazingly friendly, and we've been up till I was up till 3 o'clock in the morning just chatting with people last night. I met you at the ball game last night.
It's a good time.
Different people every time, and it's just not, it's been presenters and it's been attendees as well, and it's been great. And here's something I've really learned in this conference. So we do this a lot in the UK, but I've never been to one which is the open space stuff, and that's taken off quite a bit in the UK. But I've never been to an open space thing because I'm one of the.
A couple yesterday?
Yeah, I went to a couple yesterday, and we experienced a bit of it in the Community Leader Day thing as well, Summit thing as well, and open spaces are brilliant. The reason I never went to one because I thought, because there's been specific open space conferences, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to go to something that I don't know is happening. But the big difference with open space, and especially when you tack it on beside a main conference, is you can just go and chat to people. Whether it's a speaker, whether it's an attendee, you just go and chat, and it's for me, that has been one of the best things at conference, because I'll go to a couple of sessions, 2-3 sessions, and I don't want, I'm a presenter, and I don't want to listen to somebody tell me something anymore. I want to go and chat to someone, and you go across the open space, and you just have some great chats with people.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And when I go to conferences, even if they don't have open spaces, that happens anyway.
Yeah.
Kind of organically out in the hallway, you kind of meet people, have that conversation. This just sort of formalizes it.
Exactly, and again, this is one of the things I think that people in DevLink have, John Keller and co have done brilliantly. John Keller, awesome guy. He's done
one on that. Absolutely.
Yeah, amazing job he's done on DevLink here. But the thing I would say that was absolutely brilliant about this, and I would say every single conference you should do the same. Do not have a speaker room. Get rid of your speaker room. Make the open space area your speaker room, and that's what they've done at this conference. There's no speaker room. If you want to hang out and talk to everybody else, and the conversations that you have in open space is actually the same conversations you normally have in a speaker room. But the big difference is that in a normal conference, attendees can't sit in the speaker room and be part of that conversation.
Right.
But in open space, I can guarantee you that all the speakers are going to be hanging around there. They're going to be having the same conversations, but this time attendees get to be involved.
A lot less cliquish, a lot more open.
Much more open, and that's exactly the word. And to me, that is so much better because attendees should be a part of this. They're the reason conferences exist.
Agreed.
It's not speakers. You can have a room full of speakers, but if nobody turns up, then it's not a conference. It's just a bunch of guys.
I did have one talk like that. 2 people showed up. It was all right.
So and therefore, if you come along to conferences and you're not a speaker, I know it's a bit daunting, but get yourself across an open space. Even if you just do 1 or 2 sessions in a day, and go to everything else, you will find it so much more beneficial just to speak to real life people. It is brilliant.
Agreed. Anything else we'll talk about?
I'm talking about the community thing. One of the things that surprised me. So we have this raging debate in the UK, and I'm going to open it up again for some of the guys back home, like Guy Smith Ferry and things. Hey, guys.
I'll email them and tell them.
So we have this raging debate in the UK, and it's something we have in the UK, and you guys don't have over here at all. So I've been kind of talking about it for the past couple of days. I'm going to bring it up again. is paid subscription user groups. So in the UK, the user group that I'm part of a user group called Next Gen User Group, and we've got like 7 regions: Southampton, Cambridge, Oxford. I've got to get them all now: Manchester, Hereford, Birmingham, Coventry, and we run a paid subscription model. So it's about, I think it's £90 for the year, and it's about maybe.
So you may not attend a meeting unless you've paid your dues.
No, not true. So if you want to come along to our meetings, you can come along to 2 meetings. Okay. Yeah, and you don't have to pay anything. So if you're new, you just want to see a session, you can come along, and that's fine. But if you find yourself coming every month, then you have to pay, and that helps us pay for the pizza costs. It helps us pay for venue costs and things like that. And we're lucky. I mean, we're based. My group in Cambridge is based out of Microsoft Research, so we don't pay for a venue. But if Microsoft decides to refurbish it, then we can at least pay for a venue, and the group continues. It means we're not dependent on Microsoft, which is a good thing. And obviously, Microsoft's not paying out all this money to support all these user groups, and it's a model that works well. Now, don't get me wrong, we have raging debates about this in the UK because maybe half of the user groups, or certainly all the next gen user groups, are paid, and then we have ones like Guys One in Bristol, hey guy, and that's free, and that's good as well. I like both. I like free and paid, but over here, one of the things I'm surprised at is there's no paid user groups.
Well, that's not 100% true. So the 2 user groups that I participate in up in Michigan, there is a subscription, but it's optional.
Yeah.
And if you subscribe, then you're a full member. And I think the only real benefit is that you can then vote for board members.
Yeah.
So and then of course we use the guild model, that you're eating our pizza for free.
Yeah, we use that same model as well. That's
but there's no obligation to pay.
Yeah.
So it's not that it's free. We're asking for dues. They're not called donations.
Yeah.
And they do help to cover the costs.
Well, exactly. They do help cover the costs. But one of the things that we find is when you run a free user group, is the dropout rate. You can get high dropout rates. You can maybe lose 50% of people.
But once people are invested in it,
exactly,
they're less likely to drop out.
Even a small amount. If you're paying $100 a year or whatever.
Yeah, the one the $20 is pretty typical for a year.
Yeah, or even $20, whatever you're paying. A small amount for a year. You've got commitment. You think,
right.
I paid for my session.
$20, better go.
Yeah, exactly. And we found certainly the dropout rate from our user group is, for registrations at that point is maybe 15%.
Okay.
And that's maybe even less sometimes. And it depends on the numbers. So if we get 40 people registered, I know I'm getting 40 people, maybe 45 people turning up that night. Mm-hmm. If we get 65 registered, I know that we're getting somewhere between 50 and 55 that night. It's not, I've got 65 registered, 30 people's going to turn up.
Sure.
We know. And that kind of, it gives commitment, and what the other thing that gives, this is one of the things I was speaking with some people about in the community leaders summit. Is I think one guy talks about he does a talk about garbage collection, and he says, well, nobody wants my talk on garbage collection. It's a good talk, but it's so deep down, it's such a niche that nobody, and none of the user groups, and you get user groups who've got maybe 5-10 people. And they don't want things that are so obscure because eventually, you have to do talks that are popular to keep your group alive.
Sure.
So whereas in a paid model, we don't have that worry. Yeah, we put the talks in that are popular, but occasionally if we say, hey, you want to do a talk on garbage collection? You want to do a talk on XSLT? If it was a free model, maybe 8 people would turn up.
So you're encouraging them to come up, and who knows, maybe they might learn something.
Now here's the thing. Some of the talks we've done. So we had a talk once on XSLT. We had a talk once on Media Center, and you would think to yourselves, and I know guys who do those talks, and they're brilliant presenters. They are absolutely superb presenters. But I'll be honest. If it was I was looking at a bunch of user groups in my area, and I seen a talk that said Media Center, I'm probably not going to go along to that talk. But you know what? That's one of the best presentations, and it had one of the best evals that we've had. In our group, and everybody that went to that was going, wow, that was an amazing talk, that was brilliant. And the only reason I came along is, well, I paid my money. So I'm coming along every month, and that's why I know it's a kind of hard model to there, but If I can bring another raging debate and another argument to the U.S.
So I'll tell you where this debate actually exists more in the States is on conferences like this one.
Yeah.
So this one, I can't remember what the conference fee was for this. It was like $75.
It was $100, yeah.
$100.
Like that.
Which is pretty small, given that it's a 3-day conference. It's a fraction of the cost of PDC, for example.
Yeah.
A small fraction of it. And I think the reason for charging that $100 wasn't to offset the cost. I mean, that was a side effect of it.
Yeah.
I think the main reason is what you said, to get buy-in, to get a commitment from the people that bought that ticket. If I buy a ticket and I spend $100 of my own money, I'm much less likely to cancel.
Yeah.
And so the drop-off rate for this conference was a lot lower than, say, we have these things called dayof.net. They're one-day free conferences. They're really good, community sponsored, but they have a pretty high drop-off rate.
Yeah.
The reason is because they're free. You sign up for them, and then it comes that day, and you know what? I really need to do this other thing on that Saturday. And maybe if they had charged $10 for it, just a nominal amount, that would get that commitment.
It would get that commitment, and
so that's a debate that's going on right now, especially given the economy, where that side effect of say the cost is significant.
And it's a good debate. I mean, and actually, I mean, just for people who are thinking about dabbling, $100 is an incredible price. And you only need to look at some of the speakers there. So who have I been speaking to? Kathleen Dollard, Sean Wildermuth. These are, Josh Holmes. These are the same people who are presenting at mixes and tech heads and things. And they're here, and mixes and tech heads where you're paying $1,500 or something like that.
A small fraction of that.
You're paying $100 for this.
And what are the odds that you're going to get to speak with Kathleen Dollard in the hallway at Mix? I haven't been at Mix, but I would wager the odds are a lot higher here in a smaller venue. I had dinner with her a couple nights ago. Really smart lady.
Me too. I wandered down into the lobby at the Sheraton. Kathleen Dollard and there's a few other folks all heading out to dinner. Oh yeah, I'll come along when I have dinner. And and it wouldn't have mattered if I was a presenter or if I was just an attendee wandering by in the lobby. You went and had dinner with her, and that is the power of this conference. That's what makes this conference really, really special. Actually, probably what makes it more special is people like Elder and John Keller. Just the amount of commitment, the amount of effort these guys put into running a great conference. And in fact, I was laughing yesterday. There was a problem with the lunches yesterday. Did you hear about that?
I did. The vegetarian lunches arrived early.
That's right.
And then the meat arrived later, so all the carnivores were lined up.
We were all lined up.
For around the block, around the building.
So I think it was McAllister's that were providing the lunch boxes, and this was brilliant. We're all having a laugh, and Elder was out, and he was doing a kind of show, and giving away swag and baseball tickets, and it was fun. It was fun. And eventually the lunches arrived, and it just made me laugh. And John Keller, and he had this look on his face, and he's like, I brought the manager from McAllister's here, and and this guy's sort of thunders up, and everybody starts laughing, and John's just looking at him like this. It's like, you get over here. And he wanders over, and John's just giving him this look the entire time. This McAllister's guy, I'm really sorry that the lunches were late, and John made this guy apologize to 100, 200 hungry developers, and it was one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And actually, John was serious. He was not happy with this guy at all, and that shows the level of commitment that you get in a conference like this, and the amount of work that those guys put into this conference is just incredible.
All right, let's wrap it up. Before we do, we have a blog or someplace online that people can find you?
Yeah, so if you want to hear a bit more about me, my blog is silverlightuk.blogspot.com, or you can follow me on Twitter, which is Chris Hay, that's Hay, Chris Hay UK, and a little funny accent at the beginning. And you can follow me on Twitter, or check out Silverlight sites and things. So.
All right, Chris, thanks a lot. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks very much
for
the
conversation.
Before I got involved in the community, I had no friends, and then I got into technology, and now I do.